baby got ass.
Welcome to East Meets West. That's the name of the show. You know him as the host of Talking Politics and Religion Without Killing Each Other. It's a great podcast. If you haven't heard it, you should look it up. And he's also the second most important person from Freehold, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Corey Nathan.
And he is the 7-time Emmy-winning broadcast journalist, born and raised in beautiful Los Angeles, Rick Garcia. Rick Garcia, how you doing, man?
Good, Corey. How about you? It looks like some heads are starting to roll on the East Coast in the NFL.
Oh, so I was watching that game. I don't get all the games. I didn't get the NFL package. I mean, after all, the Giants and the Jets have not given me much to watch the last few years. Yeah, I know. But it happened to be a national game on Sunday. I watched the game, and of course, being
the game.
Giants Bears.
Okay.
And being the true New York fan that I am, I'm getting my hopes up. Oh, this is going to be great. Yeah. We're going to go 7-0 to close out the season. We're going to the playoffs. And then what do you know? 4 minutes left, and they freaking blow it. Just like they did with Denver, just like they did 4 times this year.
Yeah.
And
thus, Brian Daboll is out of work. Daboll, he came in as thought to be a quarterback whisperer, right? He was in the Bills organization, and there was a lot of feeling that because of the success of Josh Allen, that he could do the same thing in New York. And here's the thing. He had Daniel Jones, right? Everybody made fun of Daniel Jones. Well, guess what? Daniel Jones leads the NFL in yards thrown. He's listed as the number 1 quarterback in NFL stats now that he's with the Indianapolis Colts. Why couldn't Daboll do that?
I have no idea, man. It's killing me. And then watching our young quarterback, Jaxson Dart, run wild the other day, it was just a matter of time before that kid gets hurt. You got to rein it in. If you remember Ben Roethlisberger's first couple of years, what made him so successful is, number one, he was surrounded. He had a great line in front of him. He had a Hall of Fame running back behind him. And he had great coaching that was reining him in, minimizing his mistakes, minimizing the degree to which he could get hurt. Daboll goes just the opposite way with this kid that's going off. Indiana Jones in Indianapolis right now couldn't do a damn thing in New York. And now Jaxson Dart, he's ready for retirement now.
Well, so that leads to the point that it comes down to coaching. With quarterbacks, it always comes down to coaching. And people say, well, you put them in the right system, they're going to do well. Apparently, the Giants don't have the right system. And look, this is a team, and by the way, I think you have a lot to be excited about where Jaxson Dart is concerned. And I think with the right hiring over there, it could make a huge difference this time around. Here's how you know it's coaching. Everybody complained about the offensive line for a long time in New York, and then it looks like the line has gotten better, but then the defense is starting to fall apart. Again, that goes to the head coach. You can't, start to put some putty in one place to clog a few holes, and then something else opens up in the dam. So I think bottom line is I think they got rid of him and for the right reasons.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're going on year 4 here. So this is what I look for. When you get a new coach, sometimes the first year in, they might not show immediate results. But a good coach, by year 2, year 3, they're starting to get some consistent results. And also, what else is a sign of a good coach is when they leave, a lot of the system is still in place. So a team that's well coached can have sustained success after the coach leaves. But if you get a good coach that has year 1 of success and then year 2, year 3, year 4 not having success, it tells me it's something about the coach.
That tells you that you don't have the right guy. He was coach of the year when they hired him in 2022. They went 9-7-1. They won a playoff game. Things were looking great. Yeah. But here's where they are now. They're 20-40-1. I'm surprised they let him start the season. I think they wanted to see what he could do maybe with either Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston and maybe give Jaxson Dart a chance to sit down and watch it a little bit. But Dart, he looks like he could be the real deal. And it's all going to come down to who the next guy is to be in charge of that, the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, I got to admit, I was smoking the hopium before the season started. I love that quarterback room. What
led you to smoke the hopium?
Well,
I mean, what about the team, other than the fact that they have been very bad, got you excited about this season?
Well, just starting with that quarterback room, you have Russell Wilson. You draft a kid who had good coaching in the college ranks at Ole Miss, and then you have this great quarterback room, Russell Wilson, who's not a long term fix, but a year, 2 years of giving this kid time to acclimate to the NFL, and you also have a legit backup. I don't want Jameis Winston as our starting quarterback but
Yeah.
something happens to Russell Wilson, he's a legit starting quarterback and injection of energy for at least a half at a time, right?
And what about Russell Wilson excited you? Look, as a Rams fan, I've watched him take on the Rams and make things difficult for the Rams. He won a Super Bowl, went to two Super Bowls, but all of a sudden, Seattle lets him go. Denver signs him to a big fat contract. They let him go. There's something going on with Russell Wilson, and people weren't lining up to sign him. The Giants pretty much had to sign him. I mean, Pittsburgh even waited. They waited it out, figuring that maybe Aaron Rodgers will sign with them when they could have taken Russell Wilson.
Yeah. So again, I was deceived. Pittsburgh knows something that I don't. He won pretty well last year. So I thought maybe the Denver experience, the Denver chapter of his career was the anomaly, but the winning in Pittsburgh after all those years of winning in Seattle was the real Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe his size is finally catching up to him. I don't know what it is, but I was wrong. I smoked the opium. I was wrong.
You smoked the hope. So how about this? Is it possible that maybe they should look to the Sean McVay coaching tree? I mean,
There
here's a
are,
guy, by the
yeah,
way, 39-year-old coach now, and he's an old timer.
yeah.
By his standards, he was 30, 31 when they hired him in Los Angeles. He's been there 8 or 9 years now. And at 39, he's still the fourth youngest coach in the NFL, if you can believe that. Let me just read his tree to you, okay? And
Yeah.
then you tell me, you can decide whether you think that there might be somebody there, and I'm going to give you a name that I want you to think about. And it might surprise you a little bit. Okay, Zach Taylor was his quarterback's coach. He's the head coach of the Bengals, as we know. And Taylor, all he did was take the Bengals to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Rams in that matchup, but they had a chance to win that. Matt LaFleur, another part of the offensive structure of the Rams as a quarterback coach. He's now the head coach of the Packers, and all he's done is won 67-33 over there. A couple of defensive coaches that are listed on his tree. Brandon Staley was with the Rams for a year, was the head coach of the Chargers, didn't do well there. He's back in the business as a defensive coordinator. Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings, the Rams quarterback coach under Sean McVay. He's done nothing but win games out there and take the team to the playoffs. Raheem Morris, really the only other question mark, another defensive coach, not doing great with the Atlanta Falcons. He's had a very successful coaching tree. McVay himself comes from the Shanahan tree of the Washington Redskins. In fact, there's a great story that the Rams, when they fired Jeff Fisher, were going to interview Kyle Shanahan. Apparently, Shanahan's flight got delayed due to bad weather, and so Sean McVay was the next interview up. They interviewed McVay, and they canceled the reservation with Kyle Shanahan, who has gone on to win in San Francisco. Here's who I'm going to suggest to you guys, all right? And this is going to throw you for a little bit of a loop. Remember, if you're an offensive coordinator for Sean McVay and the Rams, you're an offensive coordinator in name only because McVay calls all the plays. But every one of these guys, oh, and I left out, by the way, Liam Cohen, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who he's all of a sudden overnight turned that team around. I
Yeah.
don't know how for real they are, but they're winning ball games over there and they're not a pushover. Mike LaFleur is your name.
Mike LaFleur.
LaFleur, Matt's brother,
Yeah.
was the offensive coordinator for Robert Saleh with the New York Jets. Okay. They did not meet with success over there. He didn't have a good career, let's just say, as the offensive coordinator there. These guys, like Raheem Morris, by the way, who was a head coach already with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but under McVay, because McVay is also one of those guys, he's such a genius that he knows how to really coach defense as well. And he really works well with defensive coordinators and turns them into head coaching prospects. Mike LaFleur, I think, is ready to take on the duties of a head coach. He is almost a clone of Sean McVay. He's the offensive coordinator for the Rams now. Again, McVay calls the plays. LaFleur's up in the booth. LaFleur's already got the connection with his brother Matt as well. Something to think about if you're the Giants.
Here's what I like about Mike LaFleur is his pedigree. is he was a Shanahan guy, a Kyle Shanahan guy, followed Shanahan when Shanahan was still a coordinator, followed him to Atlanta, followed him to 49ers when Shanahan got the head coaching job. And now having rounded out his experience as a coordinator with the Rams, I do like that pedigree. I don't know enough about him to have a really strong opinion one way or the other. But
Easygoing, vanilla, good-looking guy. Going to charm the pants off of those folks out in New York. The media out there that can be so tough on coaches. I don't know if what happened with the Jets could be a factor in all of that. But all I can tell you is all these guys do with quarterbacks is they turn them into superstars many times. Look at Sam Darnold. He goes and plays for Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, gets a huge contract in Seattle. He's lighting the world on fire in Seattle. I think under the right tutelage, Jaxson Dart could be one of those great quarterbacks.
yeah, it could be. The one name I'm probably going to get laughed out of the room for even saying this, but Brandon Staley intrigues me. And he has a similarity to Bill Belichick. And here's how. He's a brainiac that had a so-so tenure with his first head coaching stint. If you remember, Bill Belichick, after he was the longtime defensive coordinator for the Giants, he went and in the early 90s had a brief run with the Cleveland Browns. It was tepid at best, not a lot of success. But talk about a coaching tree. You look at some of the guys that came out of there that coached under Belichick. And then when he was given another opportunity years later, late 90s, or maybe it was 2000, 2001, when he took over the Patriots, he was really ready to shine. So Brandon Staley he's a brainiac. He has a good pedigree in terms of who he came up under, who he's coached under. And now, having had that experience, I'd be really intrigued to see if he was given any run
If
for
he
the
learned from
Giants
it,
head coaching job.
I think player connections were some of the critiques of Staley, that the feeling was he didn't connect well with his players. I got to be careful how I say this, because we know Belichick was incredibly successful and is a defensive guy. I don't like defensive coordinator hires as head coaches unless they do what Vrabel did in New England, which is what Belichick did in New England, and that's bringing an offensive guru like a Josh McDaniels. Too often with defensive coordinators, they come in and they get ultra conservative on the offensive side of the ball. So their defense might kick butt, but then their offense is, just we're going to try to be ground chuck and hand the ball off and hold on to the ball as long as we can. We don't want a bunch of flashiness. We don't want to score too fast because then our defense is back on the field. I think that team with that quarterback, the Giants, would be better served if they brought in a terrific offensive coordinator mind to be their head coach.
So I have a few ideas, and if the Maras are listening, just send me a gift certificate to a steak restaurant next time I'm in New York, because this is the answer.
Okay.
Step one, it's a two-tiered plan. Step one, bring back Bill Belichick. It's a 2 or 3 year solution to help him turn around the culture of the franchise, the culture of the building. But under Bill Belichick,
Too much baggage.
no. They're too much baggage. As in six Super Bowl rings as a head coach, and another two as the defensive coordinator for the Giants.
He's bringing the girlfriend with him. He's bringing the girlfriend with him. I'm just saying.
That's great. She'll do great in New York. She'll have plenty to distract her in the city. But here's the thing: you bring in, and I have 3 offensive coordinators that will be training under Belichick for their next head coaching job. Josh McDaniel, who's had head coaching experience, not a great run.
And failed, by the way. Go
Failed.
ahead. I'm listening.
Bill Belichick failed the first time he had a head coaching job. Right. McDaniel arguably was failed twice now, but still, he's a brilliant offensive mind. Pair him up again with Bill Belichick. I would give that guy a look. Eric Bieniemy. I don't know why Eric Bieniemy, sleeping with Bieniemy, hasn't been given more of a look for a head coaching job. Give him offensive coordinator.
Where they ran him out of his last job. Where was he when everybody talked about that, when he was the Chiefs offensive coordinator? And then where did he go where they ran him out of? Was it Baltimore? Where did he go that he
I think wait, I'll look it up right now. Eric Bieniemy.
And by the way, Belichick's coaching tree is not great. I mean, the number of guys who've not been successful, it's not like The
Oh,
Bill Walsh days, right? Where you had all those great guys coming out of off of the Bill Walsh tree.
yeah.
I'm
So
telling you,
here you
right?
go. Eric Bieniemy, he's the
Yeah,
running backs coach for the Chicago Bears.
yeah.
And Chicago
Now,
Bears have quite a
yeah.
running game this
So
year.
he's going backwards.
He's going backwards. Okay.
He's going backwards,
But
right?
my number one choice for offensive coordinator under a Bill Belichick, Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator for the Ohio State football team. And, and he has head coaching experience, Super Bowl winning head coaching experience with Philadelphia. He was with Oregon before that. Chip Kelly, that's my number one choice for
So
OC under Bill Belichick.
okay, so let me just I just don't want to hurt your feelings on this. I just gave you the best name, Eric Mangini,
Eric,
Belichick coaching tree. Okay,
yeah,
Josh McDaniels, we talked about him. He
yeah.
he he had a rough time and he had to go back to being an offensive coordinator. Bill
You're
Bill
forgetting.
O'Brien,
Come on.
Bill O'Brien crashed and burned. Matt Patricia
You know who is also
crashed and
a
burned.
horrible head coach? Nick Saban.
Brian Flores got
Nick
run
Saban,
out of Miami. You want me to keep
arguably the
going?
best college football coach of all time.
Shall I mention Joe Judge?
You're
I mean,
killing me.
should I mention? Brian Daboll apparently sprang from that tree. Did you know that? I didn't know that either.
Now the sons of his coordinators
Jared
are actually
Mayo.
having some success.
Jared Mayo. Okay. So I gave you a name.
Yeah.
He might be too pretty and clean cut for New York. Mike LaFleur. But
I do like that idea. Just looking at his pedigree, I do like that idea.
and then he brings in a Joe Staley kind of a guy, a Raheem Morris kind of a guy,
Yeah.
to run that defense, and you might be able to make that thing work.
Don't talk to me about Robert Saleh. I don't want to hear Robert Saleh. That guy
Those guys, well,
he's a good first lieutenant. He knows how to run a D, but he doesn't know how to run a game.
well, that's that's the thing about being a coordinator, right? That's what happens when the. All right, let's switch gears. Talk about basketball for a moment here.
Yeah.
The Lakers off to a pretty good start in the NBA, and they've got a dilemma, in my opinion, because they're 8-3, and in some of those games, well, they haven't had their full starting lineup. So LeBron hasn't played all season long. Luka has missed a few games. Austin Reaves has missed a few games. The games that Reaves played without Luka Doncic and also LeBron Reaves has shined like crazy, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. LeBron he's days away from returning to the team, I hear. I'm of the belief that because his team made comments that they felt like the Lakers were in rebuilding mode, that now that they had a new superstar, a younger superstar, and Luka, that they were going to start building around Luka, and it was going to take a little time to get back to prominence. I think they're a playoff team already, and I think if LeBron doesn't come back, I think the Lakers are still a playoff team. LeBron is coming back, and I wonder, as they've said in the past, or that we've seen reported in the past, he wants to go out a winner. And so I think there's some opportunities to trade LeBron James, get some draft capital. LeBron gets to go out with a champion, whoever that is. I don't know who that might be. And the Lakers get to continue to work on their youth movement. What do you think about that?
Well, I do like some main pieces that the Lakers have right now. DeAndre Ayton is having arguably his best season in the last 5 years. I thought that he would do pretty well in Phoenix, but that the chemistry just wasn't there. Whereas he's serving a really good role, clogging up the middle down low for them right now. Luka
Part of that's
Doncic,
mental. Part of that's mental, by the way, because Ayton has nowhere else to go. If he's
Yeah.
not going to make it here, he's done. Right?
Yeah. Luka Doncic, I mean, coming back, you saw him really be inspired and come back in the best shape of his career, and the numbers are proving it out. I really enjoy watching that guy play. And then
By the way, the Lakers have never had a shooter this good. I mean, Jerry West was amazing. I don't know that
he can hit from anywhere.
I think Luka anywhere, anytime. He just go ahead. I want you to.
And he's
continue.
he's also athletic enough now, especially with his new body, to cut through any defense and make it right to the rim. But Austin Reaves is the one that I had after watching a few games this year. I mean, he had some spurts last year. He had
Yeah.
some highlights last year and the year before, but this kid is really coming into his own. This kid's a legitimate star.
He is, and here's the problem with a guy like an Austin Reaves. When you have Luka Doncic, you've got LeBron James. I covered the Kobe Bryant teams. Now it was even worse with Kobe because everything
Had
revolved
to run
around
through. Yeah.
Kobe,
Yeah.
except when Phil Jackson was there. When Phil was there, he managed to get Kobe and Shaq, Kobe and Powell to work together a little bit. But generally speaking, the rest of the role players would stand around going back and forth, standing around, standing around. And then for those moments when Kobe, with 5 seconds to go, would pass, which was extremely rare, those guys would get the ball and wouldn't know what to do with it. I mean, just like I hit that microphone, they didn't know what to do with the ball when they got it, right? And so if they missed, boy, he would be hard on them. With LeBron James and Luka Doncic, they both want to be the ball handler on the team. The best ball handler, in my opinion, on the team is Austin Reaves, because he's one of those guys. He's very cerebral, and he's not a shoot first thinking guy. He's looking for the open guys, right? He's always trying to make the guys around him better. If Luka and LeBron can keep their hands off the ball, at least bringing it up the court most of the time, doesn't have to be every time, I think this team can be dominating. I really do. And it's just a question of whether those two guys are willing to give up bringing the ball up the court.
So I've always hated the comparisons between LeBron and MJ. The comparisons that I thought were more appropriate were between LeBron and Magic. And here's specifically where I think it could come into play. If you remember Magic's first championship, he played all five positions because Kareem was hurt, and he ended up having to play all five positions.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Let me pause you there.
Yeah.
Let me pause you there. And you were going to say, I wonder. So I want you to hold that thought, because I happen to think that the greatest player of all time is Magic Johnson. That's what I happen to believe. If you asked me to build a basketball team today around one player, I would choose Magic Johnson for all the reasons you just stated. Now go ahead. I wonder.
I mean, that's a different conversation. You could
Yeah,
build
we'll
a
have-
really
and we'll
good
have
team
that,
with Michael at the one, with Magic at the one and Michael at the two. I mean, that's a really good start. But I just don't think it's not a fair comparison because they're such different players. Now you go to the defensive end of the court, and that's a different story. Michael, I think, was a better. It's like they're two all-time Hall of Famers, top five in the history of the league.
We'll have that discussion because nobody agrees with me on that. Magic's never thrown in the conversation, and he should if you really broke down everything he did. I interrupted you though.
Yeah.
I wonder,
LeBron.
and where were you going with that?
I wonder if LeBron. I know this isn't necessarily the way that offenses are thought of at the 1 through 5, but I wonder if LeBron could serve a really valuable purpose as what we would think of as a 3 or a 4, especially as a 3. He has the size. He has basketball IQ like no one else in the league right now, and he has the skills. The question is he willing to be an 18 to 22 point a game player? And is Luka willing to be a 28 to 30 point player instead of a 39 point a game player? That's the question is, are they willing to sacrifice a little bit of their personal stats for the betterment of the team as a whole? And is JJ Redick the coach to convince them to do it like Phil Jackson was with his teams?
Great question. And I agree with everything you're saying. When you saw Austin Reaves, and I realize if you asked him to carry the team and take them to the promised land without Doncic and LeBron, it's not going to happen. But when he was running the offense, the scoring was spread out. You had several players in double-digit points. And so I think if you're right, if they can relinquish some of that control, and that's where basketball players are so different than other team sport players. They're less team sport oriented. It's really more about the individual in basketball because you got 5 guys. And so it's easy to just take over and want to dominate, and so that happens more often in the NBA. Though the teams that win the NBA championships have a much better team construct and get
Yeah.
other guys involved regularly.
And a system. OKC, you never saw guys standing around for 5, 10 seconds at a time.
I still can't name the guys on the team. That's the point though, right? That
That is kind of the point.
Golden State's
Golden State,
championships.
yeah. I mean,
We knew how
obviously we
good
know
Steph was,
but
right? But
yeah.
but anybody on the team at any moment could take over the game.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And constant movement, well coached, but also, really strong D. That's what was different about Michael's teams in the late 80s into the 90s, is that Michael elevated everybody's game on the defensive side of the court. And we don't necessarily see that in today's teams. That's why we're not going to. I
I'm
don't
with
think
you.
we're going to see a team rattle off 3, 4, 5 championships in a row.
And we'll get into that discussion. The one player you would build an NBA team around as we continue going forward. In the meantime, let's pop that culture.
Yeah, let's do it.
I have a feeling that sports leagues are maybe regretting their relationships with betting organizations. The fact that now that sports betting is legal, there's so many ways you can do it. It used to be in the old-fashioned way. You'd have to go to your buddy who knew a bookie, and you'd place a little bet on a team, and he'd get it done on his little sheet of paper that you couldn't read. Nobody could read it with because he was, keeping track of the bets that he was taking. The NBA had starting an investigation. The FBI got involved, and a couple of players, of course, have been involved in sports betting and tipping off teams to what's going on. And so now Major League Baseball has been dragged into the net too, as more players have been busted there for their gambling. I guess my question to you, my big picture question to you, is sports gambling and the relationship with sports a bad idea now? Did they make a mistake? The NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, with getting involved with sports gambling?
Sports gambling is just a reality. It's kind of like AI right now. Folks who are saying, let's stop AI, there shouldn't be any. It's just it's a reality that we have to deal with. Very much like performance enhancing drugs were a reality starting at least as early as the mid to late 80s. It's a reality that all the leagues have to deal with. And at the end of the day, you're depending on the integrity of each individual athlete. So yeah, I believe in very strict enforcement rules that each league is responsible for their own. But to think that I don't know. At the end of the day, when it comes to being in bed with them and partnering with them and naming stadiums after them,
sharing money, it's all about the money. Yeah.
You're asking for trouble. But sports gambling is not going to go away. Very much like legalized marijuana, it's not going away. So the question is, what's the best way to rein it in, to not allow it to assure that it's not affecting the outcome of games, like this guy Clase, one of the best closers of the last 5-10 years. I was just amazed when I saw his name was wrapped up in it. He threw away. Great. We're never going to see him pitch again.
And think about how easy it is to pull this off. Well, I guess not so easy because these guys got caught. But when you allow all these silly propositions like what type of pitch is the pitcher going to throw on a given inning, and what's the velocity going to be? I mean, that's just ridiculous. And that's an easy thing to where you can suck in these guys to do stupid things, which, it is stupid to be able to be a professional athlete and then gamble, and I meant the pun, and gamble your career away. It's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the exotic bets. That's the part that I don't quite understand. I've never been I can't believe I'm a poker player, but that's a measured risk taker. I'm not a gambler. So I never got into sports betting, partly because I always assumed that the lines were smarter than I was. But now you get into these exotics and these exotic bets, and there are any number of lines that somebody could create and then get to an athlete and throw a ball your first. Like this is what Clase got caught up in. It's hard to stay ahead of it, but
look what happened to Ohtani and his interpreter.
Yeah.
His interpreter isn't serving prison time now. Think of how these folks that are really close to these athletes who don't really have their best interests at heart, they're just hoping to leech off of some of these dudes and make some money off of them. Some athletes might be well aware of what's going on with some of the folks that they have in their circles who are making the bets for them. Because think about it, you know what? If I just were to feign an injury and leave the game for 5 minutes, maybe my scoring output is lowered. Maybe I mean it seems like it's too easy to do. Now, on the gambling side, they'll tell you, well, hey, we found out about this thanks to sports betting and our relationship with the leagues, right? We saw this excessive betting taking place, and we were able to report that. And that's how we're able to catch these guys.
Remember that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, Catch Me If You Can?
Yep.
Do you remember the DiCaprio's character, what he ended up doing by the end of the movie?
I don't remember the movie. I saw it a
He
long time ago,
he was
but
hired by the government because he was so
yes,
good at the
right.
heists that he was pulling off.
Yes.
So it makes
Based
me
on a true
wonder.
story, by the way.
Yeah,
And
so
and
it makes me wonder the way that the leagues now and each individual team provides training to their athletes for example, publicity, how to have an interview, how to engage with journalists. They
yeah.
have all kinds of training for all kinds of
Yep.
things.
Hmm.
They can have training to be on the lookout, to be vigilant about looking out for folks for people that are trying to catch you up in their betting schemes. And I bet if they partnered with the companies that are involved in this, that's where a good partnership would be to keep it clean, to keep it to keep the games clean. Because
Yeah.
if you get more Class A's, then the whole everything is gone. The league is gone. The game is gone. Nobody's going to be watching the
Yeah.
way that baseball was really at risk in the early 2000s when they weren't quick enough to respond to the performance enhancing drug scandals.
And to your point, I remember working for a company who I don't know if the legend was true, but was a kid who ran the IT department, who, as a kid, had hacked into some some bank or some company,
Yeah.
and our government does it all the time. Our corporations do it all the time. You got to hire the guys that know it best, and sometimes that means hiring an ex-hacker, who's breaking into to Wells Fargo or something. So. Well, there you have it. Listen, it's time for us to say goodbye. This is East Meets West. I'm Rick Garcia. He's Corey Nathan.
Don't forget to let everyone know you can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. This is great, Rick.
Did
Thanks
I,
for
did
doing
I
it.
wake you up? I didn't mean to wake you up there at the very end. I thought maybe, did you fall asleep or something?
No, no, no. I had to pull up an old script. That's the.
Okay. You'll memorize it one of these days.
I'll get it done. I'll get it
All
done.
right. Till next time.